Hi guys, this is Vineet and I welcome you to this video. Today's video topic is variables and assignment statements in Python. So guys, if you are new to this channel or if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and do so. There is a subscribe button below this video. Click on that subscribe button. It will give you a bell icon. Click on that bell icon, select all notifications to get notifications regarding all my future videos. So let's move on. There are some points to remember while watching this video. Please watch this video till the end to gain better clarity of the concept. And if it's possible for you, please watch this video twice or as many times as you like until the concept gets clear to you. Perform any exercises in your test and lab environments only. Do not touch any production environment or production databases. And we would like to know your thoughts regarding our videos, so please do share in your comments and any of the stories, reviews, feedbacks, any requirements, any day-to-day experiences with SQL Server. Maybe you can let us know about the situation where my content has helped you somewhere in some way. So do post in your comments guys, we eagerly wait for them and would love to read the same. I have created some playlists for you to watch. So first of all, let me introduce my Python programming workshop which I have just started. It currently has only one video because I've just started it. So this will be the second video addition to this particular playlist. So any of the Python enthusiasts who would like to join me in doing the actual coding work, please join this workshop. And basically you need to subscribe to my channel and yeah, look out for the playlist which will be available in the video description area of this video. And apart from this, I have other playlists created for SQL Server as well. Some of them are database design, table, business continuity indexing, performance tuning, integration services, and transaction SQL playlist. You may watch out that as well. But this video is for Python, and if anyone who is interested in learning Python should watch out the playlist for Python programming workshop. This playlist will grow on day by day. So currently it may have few videos, but in future or maybe in upcoming month it will have more than 100 videos by the end of next month. So the total videos posted on my channel are around 219 videos, and the number of videos are growing at constant pace. I have a channel link page given at the bottom of this slide, and also links to all these playlists and my channel page link along with the Python programming workshop playlist are given in the video description area of this video. So let's come back to today's topic, which is variables and assignment statements in Python. So let me take you to notes quickly. So guys, I'm starting with building blocks of programming. And basically if we talk about building blocks of programming, so we can say the building blocks of programming, what are they? The building blocks of programming are code and data. So we write basically the code that works on the data. So that are the building blocks of the programming, the code and the data. So if we define code, code is a set of instructions, we could say. So code is a set of instructions that basically tells computer what has to be done and how it should be performed. The data is something on which the code works basically. So let's talk about data now. So if we talk about data, it refers to the quantities, any characters, and maybe and or symbols on which operations can be performed with the computer. So basically, in other words, if you would say anything you need computer to remember is a piece of data. All right, and some of the examples of data include the number of students in a class. So example of data is like number of students in a class. And if we take any other example, colors of umbrella could be another example. So colors of umbrella is another example. Or maybe we can take name of the students. That's also another example of data. So these are some of the examples which we can consider as data. And there are many different types of data as well. But we mainly deal with the four basic type of data which we are describing shortly. So let's discuss on the four types of data, and that is the broad classification. So let me make it a heading. So let's discuss on four types of data. So the four type of data are, they're called integer numbers. So the four types of data are integer numbers is one type of data, Floating numbers is another type of data. Strings are another type of data, and Boolean values like true or false is another type of data. Alright, so these are basically major four types of data, and we will shortly explain and provide example for each of these types of data. Now let's discuss integer data type. So we talk about integer. Integer numbers are counting numbers like 1 to 3. These numbers are called integers. Integers also include the 0 and the negative numbers as well. And some of the example, if I would consider, we can say number of people in a room, that can be defined with the help of integer. Another example, let's take maybe course number can be another example, the number associated with it. So course number is, if we just consider course number type, it will contain the integer values, right? Because it will be numerical. Alright, so we are done with discussion on integers. Let's come to floats, which are basically the decimal values. So let's define floats, which are basically floating point numbers that have a decimal point in them. So any floating point numbers that have decimal point in them are called floats. And if we consider example of float numbers, maybe I can take something like percentages that can be defined in decimal format. So this is a good example of floats. Any maybe take value of pi, if we would say, that is also represented in decimals, so that can be considered as floating point numbers or floats. Now the next type of data is the string data. So strings are basically any sequences of characters, and example of data that is expressed as strings include the following. So if we talk about the example, so name of a person is a string, any address can be a string. So these are the two main examples. Now let's talk about booleans. So if we talk about booleans, so these are the type of data that can only have one or two values. So one, not one or two values, but one of two values, and those can be either true or false. So this type of data can be considered as Boolean data. And if we talk about some of the examples of Boolean data type, let's take the state of a light switch. So it can be on or off, right? So it can be considered as Boolean data. Maybe if I can consider inside or outside, that can also be considered as Boolean data. Alright guys, so we are done with the four basic data types. Now let's talk about variables now. So which is another heading, so let me mark it with red color. Let's talk on variables. In order to store and manipulate the data, we use variables. So let me write that. So in order to store and manipulate data, we use variables. So in other words, we can say a variable is a named memory location. So variable is a named memory location that holds a value. So it's any named location in memory that basically holds the value. And the contents of the variable can change or vary over time. So the contents of a variable can change or vary over time, and that is why it is called a variable, because its content changes over time. So guys, we are done with variables. It's basically a name given to the memory location that holds some data, which is called variable. Now let's talk about assignment statements that we use in Python. So far we have talked about variables and how they are used to store the data, right? But we haven't shown you yet how to use a variable in Python. So let's do that right now. So much for the theory. In Python, you create and give value to a variable with an assignment statement. So in Python, we create and give a value to a variable with an assignment statement. So in other words, we can say an assignment statement is a line of code in which a variable is given a value. So if we talk about an assignment statement has this general form. So let me write that form. You give a name of the variable like this, and you put an equal sign and you give the expression or the value, or value can be assigned directly as well to a variable. So this is the way assignment statement works. So if we take a look at this expression, a variable can be assigned a value directly, or a variable can be assigned a result of the expression. But this expression has to be computed first to get a value, and then that value is ultimately assigned to a variable on the left hand side. Okay, let's learn it with some examples, some of the assignment statements. So let's open the idle shell, which is the shell for Python. Let me open that and perform some assignments. So let's take age and give it a value of 29. So here age is the variable and I'm assigning value 29 to it, and I'm taking name and I'm assigning my name to it, and let's say we are taking a live values which may be a boolean value, so we can specify true or false to that. And let's take GPA, which will be a floating point score. So let's take a GPA of 3.9. So these are example of some of the variables and the assignment statements. So notice that as soon as you type an opening quotation mark, such as typing, let me give another example. So let's take name1 as variable, and let me type. So as soon as you start the opening quotation mark, idle recognizes that you are typing a string and turns all the characters green until you type the matching closing quotes. So as soon as I type the quote, it turns it into a green color, right? So let me take some name here, and when I close the quote, it will automatically start using a different color once we put in the matching closing quote. Also, if you have noticed, when you type the word true here, right, it turned a color. It's turned into something like orange, right? And this is an indication that Python has recognized a special word. So Python knows here that it's a Boolean value. So that's why I turned the color into orange. Now when Python runs or execute assignment statements like these, it first looks to see whether the variable to be assigned was previously used. If the variable has never been seen before, Python allocates an empty slot of memory, attaches the name to it, and put in the given value. Therefore, when you enter the following line and press return, following line I'm talking about age equal to 29. When I type this line and press return or enter, Python first look to see if if it had ever seen the variable name age before, age equal to 29. Since it had not, so this variable was not used prior to this. So since it had not, it allocated a memory slot somewhere, and again we don't care where. Then put the value 29 into that memory location. A similar sequence happened for other variables as well. So these are name location in the memory where we have put in these values, or computer has put in these values. And if we talk about these statements, you see equal sign present over here in each statement. So here it is not called equal sign, but it is called the assignment operator. So in Python this is an operator, and this is called an assignment operator. And in an assignment statement, everything on the right hand side, or we can say in the assignment statement, everything on the right hand side of the equal sign is calculated. So these are the expression which are on the right hand side of equal to sign, right? Or assignment operator we can say. So anything on the right hand side is calculated and the result is assigned to the variable on the left hand side. So let's type in another line. Let's set age to 31 now. So Python does the same sequence of steps when you use the same variable here. Age was used before and we have used the same variable. So Python performs the same sequence of steps, but now it finds that there is an already location with the name age, and rather than creating a new variable, Python overrides the content of existing variable age with the new value of 31. So earlier the content of this age variable was 29, now it is changed to 31. So these are some of the example of assignment statements that we have just displayed over here. Now let's move on to next topic, which is variable names. So let's mark it with the red color. So we can say every variable must have a name, so that is compulsory, and it is best to make variable names as descriptive as possible. So basically we should use proper name for the variables. So use proper names for the variables. This basically makes the code much more readable and understandable in the long run. And there are some rules associated with the variable name. So let me post in those rules. So they must start with a letter. We cannot start a variable name with a number. They can also start with an underscore as well. Underscore can be used as a first character in a variable. And they cannot start with a digit. That is another rule. And they can have up to 256 total characters. So variable names cannot be greater than 256 characters. And variable names can include letters, digits, underscores, dollar signs, and other characters as well. And variable names cannot contain spaces. This is another rule. And variable name cannot contain any math symbols. So these math symbols include the plus sign, minus sign, you can say divide sign, or the multiplication sign, or the modulus operator sign, or maybe the parenthesis. These cannot be included in the variable name, these all items. Alright, so let's move ahead. Let's talk on the naming convention. So guys, let's talk about naming conventions. So if we just talk about convention, a convention is an agreed upon way of doing things. So if we talk in terms of programming, we can create any variable name we want as long as it follows the above rules. So what are these rules? These are the some of the rules we listed here for variable naming. So as long as follows that convention or follows the above rules, we can create any variable with particular name in Python. However, when creating variable names, when creating variable names, we encourage you to use a naming convention by which we mean a consistent approach for creating names for variables. So we should use a consistent approach while naming our variables in the program. So for example, if you create a name like score, where the name is just one word, the convention is to use all lowercase letters. Alright. However, we often want to create descriptive names made by putting together two or more words. For example, the variable name number of students in class, which is created by putting together 5 or 6 words. So if we talk about single words, the convention is to use all the lowercase characters for the variable name. Alright. And in case we are using a multi-word variable, then in Python there seem to be two type of common naming conventions that we can use. So the first naming convention is the camel case. The rules of the camel case convention are as below. So the rules are the first word is all lowercase, and for every additional word in the name, make the first letter uppercase. And these are the rules I'm writing for the camel case convention. So first word should all be lowercase. For every additional word, the first character of that word will be uppercase, and all the other letters are lowercase. So this is the convention used in the camel case. And if I give some examples for camel case convention, let's take an example like computer score. So this is camel case. Maybe let's take some variable name. So this is camel case convention. All right. So we are done with the camel case convention. And there is another convention that many Python programmers use, which is to separate the words with underscore. That is another type of convention. So we talk about examples here. So like this is a variable name. This is another way for creating variable names. So this is another convention apart from the camel case convention. But according to us, that's the most difficult to both read and write. So the reason why we are showing this convention here is because if you look at other people code written in Python, you will probably see variable names written with underscores like this, right? So that's why we are showing it over here. We have used the camel case naming convention for years, and we will use camel case throughout our videos. And if you are coding on your own, you can use whatever names you want, but it's really a good idea to be consistent with the naming variables. If you do a programming in a class or for a company, uh, the teacher of the company may insist on a particular naming convention so that all programmers can easily understand each other's code. Alright, so now let's move our attention to keywords. Let's go to the new topic, keywords. Alright, let's talk about keywords. So whenever you write your code in Python, Python cannot run or execute your code directly. Instead, what it does is it takes the code that you write and compiles it. If we talk about Python, it doesn't compiles the code, actually it interprets the code. So basically Python takes the code that we write and interprets it instead of compiling it. So it interprets the code into bytecode. Now when the Python interpreter reads a code, it looks for special words called keywords to understand what your code is trying to say. So let me give you some of the below is a list of the Python keywords. Some of the keywords are and, as, break, class, continue. These are some of the examples of Python keywords. There are a lot many, but I'm mentioning only 5 for now. And also don't worry about the details right now. And we are just showing you these now to let you know that we cannot use these words as a variable name. So any of the Python keywords cannot be used as variable names. So any of the Python keywords cannot be used as variable names. And we have already seen two of these keywords. Example, we have seen true and false, and these are the keywords in Python, which are the only allowable values for the Boolean values. So Boolean variables. So these are also keywords. True, false, and none are the only keywords that begin with the uppercase letter. So let me talk about true and false. The words true and false are the only allowable values for a Boolean variable. True, false, and none are the only keywords. So these all keywords begin with a small letter, although they convert it into capital letter, but these keywords are always start with the small letter. With the exception of true, false, and none, these three keywords begin with the capital letter. So true, false, and none are the only keywords that begin with the uppercase letter. Alright. There are also some words that Python reserves, like the word print that we saw earlier in our Hello World program. So these are the reserved keywords. And whenever you type a Python keyword or reserved word, ITIL changes the color of the word. So there are some words that Python reserves, like the word print that we earlier saw in the Hello World program. And whenever we type a Python keyword or reserved word, idle GUI changes the color of the word. Earlier when we typed the statement. Earlier we typed this statement. Let me take you to idle GUI. So we type the statement print. So as soon as you type print, you see the color change to purple. So which means that it's a keyword that Python recognized, right? Python has turned the word keyword print into purple color because it recognizes that keyword. So the main thing of this section is keywords and basically variables, and the naming convention is the main gist of the section is that we cannot use any of these words which are reserved keywords as variable names. Any attempt to do so, the Python interpreter will generate an error message when we try to compile the program. So if we try to use any of the reserved keywords or maybe Python keywords, the Python interpreter will generate an error message when it tries to interpret your program. So the gist is this. Now let's delve into the case sensitivity, whether Python is a case sensitive language or not. Let's discuss on that. Case sensitivity regarding the variable names. If we talk about Python, the variable names and keywords in Python are all case sensitive. So Python is a case sensitive language. So for example, we can say the word print is not the same as print, right? And this will bite you many times over as well. And you will spend a great deal of time in learning about why your program won't compile, only to realize hour later that you used a lowercase letter where you needed an uppercase one. And this is another reason for following a strict naming convention. This is a great reason to follow a strict naming convention, as Python is a case sensitive language. And if you follow a naming convention such as maybe camelcase, you will make fewer uppercase, lowercase naming errors. So always follow a naming convention because Python is a case sensitive language. That's the gist of this section. Now let's talk about some more complicated assignment statements. So guys, so far we have discussed about the statements that give a variable a simple value. But the expression part on the right hand side of the equal sign, also called the assignment operator, can be as simple or as complicated as you need it to be. The right hand side can also contain variables. So let me share an example with you in the idle GUI. Let me see if I can clear the screen. So yeah, I cannot use the word clear. So let me close it and open it again to start from scratch. So let's trigger the idle GUI. So let me give you an example. So let's take my age variable and let's give 31 value to it. Now let me give you an example of complex assignment statement. Let's use another variable, your age, and let's give this variable, instead of directly assigning 31 value, let me assign this variable value of my age variable. Now the your age will have a value 31, although we have not directly assigned the value 31 to it. Instead we assigned the variable name my age to your age. Alright, so if we try to print the value of variable your age, what you will get is you will get 31. So we got 31, right? So this is one of the example of complex assignments. In this example, the first line created and set a variable named my age to 31, and the second line created a variable named your age and set it to the current value of the variable my age. And after running these two lines, both variable would be set to the value 31. We can also print the value of my age variable. Let's see, both are set to 31. So your age is also set to 31 and my age is also set to 31. Now an assignment statement computes the value of whatever is on the right hand side of the equal sign and assign it to the variable on the left hand side. Whenever a variable appears in an expression that is on the right hand side of the assignment statement, the expression is evaluated or computed by using the value of each variable. And in other words, as a programmer, you may write the name of the variable, but when the statement runs, the computer uses the current value of that variable at that time. So let me give you another example over here. So let's take number of males using the camel case. Let's assign the value 5. Let's take number of females using the camel case. Let's assign the value of 6. Now if we take another variable, let's say it's number of people. Let's assign this variable a value of number of males plus the number of females. So we will get the variable will get the total number of males and number of females. First, we use the to assignment statement to create two variables, number of males and number of females. In the third line, we see those two variables on the right hand side of the equal sign, the assignment operator, right? So we have used these variables on the right hand side and done a sum on it. To generate the result, Python uses a value of those variables. So in order to generate the value of this variable, Python used the value of these variables, the number of males and number of females, does a math and get an answer of 11. So 5 plus 6 is 11, right? And assign that results to the number of people variable, which is the variable on the left hand side of the equal sign, which is number of people. So if I print number of people now, it will give me a value of 11. And basically we want to make it clear that the equal sign is an assignment statement, is very different from the way an equal sign is used in maths. So it's not equal to, it's an assignment operator. In math, the equal sign implies that the things on the left hand side and the right hand side have the similar value. In Python, that's not the case. So to drive this point home, consider two lines of code. So let me write some code. So let's take my age as 25 and let's take my age as my age plus 1. So variable name is not correct. You need to make sure that Python is a case sensitive language, so use appropriate case sensitivity. So this is correct now. Now the variable my age is set to my age plus 1, which is 26. So what I'm trying to say here is my age equal to my age plus 1 is an assignment statement. This is not an equality checking where we equate the left hand side expression with the right hand side expression. Instead, equals operator is an assignment operator where the value on the right hand side of the operator gets assigned to the variable on the left hand side of the operator. So if we take a look into this statement is saying take the current value of variable my age, right, which is 25, add 1 to it and put the result back into the variable my age. Now if we print the variable value of my age variable, we will get 26. So the statement effectively changes the value of the variable my age by adding 1 to it. Using a variable to count something is done all the time in programming, and it is very common to see lines like this in the code. Now let's switch over to next topic, which is print statements. Let's talk about them. So if we talk about print statement, the print statement is a general purpose statement and is used to print something. It basically prints whatever you ask it to print into the shell window. The general format of print statement is starts with this with a small case p, and basically you put in whatever you want to see. So print statement is used to print certain characters or print the values of any of the variables. So let me share some examples. Though we have already shared, we have used print statement many times. Let me take some more examples. So let's take one variable legs in omelette. Let's set it to 3. Now we can use the print statement to print this variable legs in omelette, which will provide us the value 3. So if we print this, we'll get the value 3. Let's take another example. Let's take knows how to cook variable. Let's set it value to true. Now let's print this variable knows how to. If we print the value of this variable, we will get the true as the output. So we got true. And the print statement can also print multiple items in a single line as well. And we can do this by separating the items we want to print with commas. So when the print statement runs, each comma is replaced by a space. So let me give you an example. So if you use print statement, let's try to print both the variables. So let's use x in omelette variable. We want to print that, and let's take second variable knows how to cook. So we are printing two values in a single statement of print. So comma will turn into a space and the value of the second variable will be printed. So the value of first variable will be printed, which is x in omelette 3. For comma it will take a space and then it will print the value of knows how to cook to true. So 3 space true will be the result. So we got it right. And we can also nicely format our output. For example, Python basically allows you to print a description of what a variable you are printing. So for example, we have taken the x in omelette as 3, right? Let's try to print it more sophisticatedly. So we can use print statement, put some text inside quotes. So let's take x in omelette like this. Let's give it a space. Comma will turn into space. Now let's print this variable x in omelette. So this is a better way to print stuff with the actual textual verbiage. Now let's try to use this variable knows how to cook equals true. This was already set to value true. So let's use that in print statement. So use print knows how to cook is, close the quote, put a comma, and now put in the variable knows how to cook. Now this will more aesthetically print out the statement, right? Let's take another example where we will use all the variables. So let's take both of these variables and put it in a single statement. So we can say eggs in omelette and knows how to cook are. Let's take the first variable, which is eggs in omelette, and let's take a keyword and then print knows how to cook variable. Let's close the bracket and print the statement. So this has given us all the output in a single statement in a very aesthetic format. So similarly, we can use many different type of statements where variable and text can be printed all along in the same line. These are some of the examples we have shared. You can use any other examples as well. Now there is one additional note about the print statement. To make things a little clearer in your output, you may want to include one or more blank lines. To create a blank line of output, you just need to use the print function without inputting any parameter. So this will just give one blank line of text or blank line of output. You can use any empty print statement. Just write the word print within set of open and close parentheses like this, and it will output a blank line of output. So alright guys, we are done with this video, or we can say done with the part 1 of this video. And the topic we were covering was the variables and assignment statements. So in our next part of this video, what we will cover is we will cover simple math, which we will perform on the variables. And in simple maths, we will cover the addition, subtraction, multiplication and division and all the other mathematical operations. So stay tuned guys, let me take you back to slides. In today's video, what we have discussed is, let me take you through the notes. So we have discussed about the building blocks of programming, that is code and data. And we then talked about the 4 types of data, including integer, floats, strings and booleans. We talked about the concept of variables, which is a name given to a memory location where we hold some value. And we talked about the assignment statements, and we talked about the variable names and their conventions and rules applicable to them, applicable to the variable names. So see, these are some set of rules. And we talked about the naming convention, what type of naming convention we use with the variables in Python. So we use camelcase and other ways to use the keywords separated by underscores. And these are two of the ways or two of the naming conventions used in Python. Then we talked about the keywords and how Python treats them. And we have listed out some of the keywords used by Python, although there are more many. We talked about the case sensitivity here as well. As Python is a case sensitive language, so we should be careful with the naming convention of the variables. Okay, then we discussed about the case sensitivity. Basically, Python is a case sensitive language and we need to be careful while naming the variables. The recommendation is to use the camel case wherever required. Not wherever required. Generally, it should be a naming convention to use a camel case when defining the variable names in Python, so that we can make fewer uppercase, lowercase mistakes. And then we talked about some of the more complicated assignment statements. We showed you some samples. Then we shown you some print statements. We talked about print statements and shown you some examples as well. In our next part of this video, we will talk about some of the simple math operations. So let's end our video here. Let me go back to slides. So today's topic was variables and assignment statements in Python, and this is the part 1 of this video. I will change the slide to indicate it's a part 1 of the video. And guys, I hope you like this video. If you really like this video, please click on the like button below this video. Please do post in your comments to us, guys. Any comments, feedback, suggestions, any requirements, any of your day-to-day experiences with Python, any problems you come across. Maybe you can share about some situations where my content has helped you somewhere in some way. Do share us your experiences. We love to read your comments and eagerly wait for them. And guys, if you have a good network of friends, please share my videos with them in case you feel that my videos will be useful for them, or if they are working in Python domain. And also ask all your friends to join my channel so they can reap the benefit of my videos that I post on my channel. And I thank you so much for your time on this video today, guys, and you have a wonderful day ahead. Thank you.